guys, I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm doing very well myself. In this video, I want to review my top 10 of free agents next year. And this class is pretty insane. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Anytime during this video, guys, make sure you comment the big names that I may have forgot to put on that list. Or just overall, do you think those guys will re-sign? Or you could see them indeed get some big money on July 1st of next year. So without further ado, here's my number 10. Number 10, we have Gardiner. Now, of course, 50-point D-man will always try to get the big bucks in his next contract. Problem is, Matthews and Marner will have their contract up to discuss next year as well. So it's going to be tricky for the Leaf GM to actually fit all of them, especially with now John Tavares' contract, how we can make that happen. Now, of course, I have nothing but respect for the Leaf GM, so it could actually make this work. It really depends on what Jake wants. Does he want to stay at Maple Leaf? I would assume so, and we'll see how this goes during the season and how much money does he want, but I think it could be a free agent next year. Number 9, we have Pekka Rinne. Now, even though he's getting older, I feel like he has still maybe 3 or 4 good years left in him, so after next year, he could very well have a 2 or 3 year contract for a few $1 million there, and then it could be very, very interesting for a couple of teams. I don't think he's going to re-sign with Nashville, especially because Saros is definitely the upcoming goaltender there, and I think this year is going to take a bigger role as well, so not surprised at all if Rinne ends up being a free agent on July 1st, 2019, so it would make sense for Rinne to get a 3-year contract with a different team next year. Another Nashville Predator, and that is Ryan Ellis. Now, Nashville defense is probably one of the best, if not the best, in the National Hockey League, but Ryan Ellis is on such a bargain of a contract that he's going to want to get paid next contract. So depending on, I mean, this guy could get easily $6 million a year. So I don't know if Nashville can actually make that work. If they can, great, they're going to do their best to re-sign Ryan Ellis. But they have a guy like Fabro coming up as well, and with Ekholm, Subban, and Yossi, that top 4 would be good. Now, it's going to really depend if Ellis wants to take a long-term deal, like a 7-year, $42 million contract, or if he wants to get even more and just test the free market out. Now, playing in Nashville is amazing. Nashville is an amazing city, so I mean, you're getting paid a lot of money to play there, which is amazing. So I would not be surprised if Ryan Ellis re-signed not a cheap contract, but what we can probably call a bargain contract, just like, you know, Philip Forsberg has right now. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plans out, but I think David Poile is going to manage a trick out of his hat like always and re-sign Ellis. But if not, it could be a prime candidate to get some big money on July 1st. Number 7, we have Sergei Bobrovsky. Now, again, another goaltender that has a few good years left in him for sure, and that a backup is coming knocking on the door. Korpisalo is a great goaltender. He's still very young, and I see him being a number 1 one day. I feel like with pending, you know, UFA of Bobrovsky, could make a sense, just like Nashville, to make that switch starting this year and next year, for him to take him a larger load of games, maybe in the range of 50 games. So it would make sense for Columbus to not re-sign Bobrovsky. Of course, that's not your goal. You never want to lose a player for nothing, but he could be another big name up and coming on July 1st. Now, the next 2 guys are captain of their team, so that's always tricky to predict if they're going to end up being free agent. First one is Blake Wheeler. His contract is up to due next year, and Winnipeg Jets, and again, one of the teams, just like Toronto, they have a lot of young players, and Liney contract is up next year as well. They just signed Ellis to a long-term deal. Trouba just got $5.5 million, only for a year, so it's going to be tricky for Wheeler to get his full worth. I mean, he had over 90 points last year. Again, I could see Wheeler taking some sort of a discount compared to his true value to stay with Winnipeg Jets, because it's a very young, upcoming team, and they're already really, really good. But they have a lot of guys up front that are going to need to sign in the next few years. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's ready to take like a $5-6 million deal for a couple of years. I think that ends up being the most likely scenario. But if not, it could be a big name on July 1st. The next one is Max Pacioretty. Now, Max Pacioretty is in many trade rumors, many trade discussion, and was known from Bergevin that they were not trying to re-sign an extension. So I feel like the most likely scenario for him is to being traded in the foreseeable future. But I do see a scenario where Bergevin is not able to pull up the trigger, because that would not be surprising, and you end up being a rental player at trade deadline. You can still get some sort of a good return for a guy like Pacioretty at a trade deadline, and that would really mean that it could become a free agent next year. So keep an eye on Pacioretty, because this guy could really be a free agent next year. The other scenario is if you do not a sign and trade, but a trade condition of him sending an extension. If that happens, then of course Pacioretty won't be a free agent. But seeing the way things are planning out, wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being nothing more than a rental. And there you go. Number 4 on the list, we have Matt Duchene. Now, Matt Duchene was traded to Ottawa to play some playoff hockey. That didn't turn. Sorry, that wasn't the case because they finished like bottom last in the NHL last year. So he did finish the year with point per game in the last 40 games. So we got adjusted to Ottawa, and he had success there for the second half of the season. We'll see how it goes this year. We'll see how it goes with Carlson. We'll see how it goes with Stone. There's a lot of different names and a lot of different really key situation for the Ottawa Senators to just kind of have a look into. So it's going to be interesting to see if Duchene wants to re-sign with that team, or just really get a taste of playoff hockey, signing with a team that would need him on July 1st. Now, this next top 3 is actually insane, and if any of those guys end up being a free agent next year, it would be such a big Twitter subject. Number 3, we have Pekka Rinne. Now, a lot of discussion and lots of discussion surrounding Pekka Rinne right now. He wants absolutely to either re-sign before September 13 or not talk at all during the season of his contract talks. Now, that could be tricky. So that's why I'm pretty sure that the Columbus GM is actually trying to either see what his value on the market is right now. And we've seen Elliot Freeman said that maybe Toronto Maple Leaf was interested in him for rental. So if that's the case, Pekka Rinne could very, very, very well be a free agent next year. It's going to be a matter of if Columbus ends up putting the dollar amount on Pekka Rinne now, if he ends up playing for Columbus and not resigning afterwards, if he ends up getting traded as a rental again and being... So I feel like, as much as it hurt me to say, because I do like Columbus a lot, Pekka Rinne could be a free agent next year. Next player on the list is Tyler Seguin. Again, a number 1 center, posted, it's a point per game player for sure. It's going to be interesting to see, because I feel like Dallas has a cap space to definitely give him a big deal. Pretty sure he has good chemistry right now with Ben and Radulov. So I think this year for the Dallas Stars is very important. You got to get this team in the playoff, and you got to give a reason to Tyler Seguin to really stay here, thinking he might have a cup run in the next few years very soon. So that's why this is very a key year for Dallas. You need to make everything right for him and resign him as soon as you can, because you don't want to lose Tyler Seguin. But if not, he could be a free agent next year. Number 1 on that list, can't believe he's not even traded at this point. We've been hearing his name since February, every single day of the week, Erik Karlsson. Now, of course, I don't see Erik Karlsson actually hitting the free agent market. But hear me out. It could actually happen. Because if Ottawa it's been known that there's a contract offer to Carlson on the table, he's not taking it. And there's no trade happening. So is Carlson going to be a huge rental coming up in trade deadline, like a team like Tampa Bay that will be willing to do so, or any team that's in a prime position to compete or do something to get Carlson? Of course, as soon as you get Carlson, your goal is to re-sign Erik Karlsson, that's for sure. But there might be a scenario where if Ottawa definitely sees they don't want a Tavares 2.0 here. They want to get some sort of return if Carlson is not coming back, and it makes sense. So it could actually be a free agent next year. Can you imagine like those 3 guys, Pekka Rinne, Sergei, and like Carlson being free agent, and like say being like at the Golden State and saying, okay guys, we have to sign with the same team, and changing the whole dynamic of a franchise in a matter of days? I mean, that would be insane. Just having 3 of those top 10 would be an insane July 1st next year, and I think at least 4 could very well be on that list for sure. Now the rest are going to depend on the trade situation and lots of other things that could happen between now and July 1st. So thank you guys so much for watching. Again, sorry for that was a bit of a long video. It's just really a conversation I want to get going. Now again, this is very early. Those guys could either re-sign, being traded, or being, you know, sign and trade. So it's very hard to predict as of right now. But at least those names were so like high quality players that I had to talk to you about. I mean, the upcoming 2019 free agent. Thank you guys so much for watching. You're amazing. You have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys later.